Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second-guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about dogs. I've learned so much about dogs lately. I'm not even kidding you. If you have a pet, I highly recommend listening to today's episode because my plan is to save you thousands of dollars on pet care because I've made a lot of mistakes over the last couple of months. In fact, it's really interesting. April 29th of this year, I released an episode, What I Feed My Dog Daily and Why It Matters. Literally the day that we released that episode, our dog, Coconut, who's a Doberman, 8 years old, love her to bits. Everyone says that you have a soul dog. I think she's mine. Love this dog more than I probably should. And I'm definitely, working through that. But on April 29th, she had a severe injury and we have been through the ringer. Like I would put this beside dealing with mold in a home. It has not been easy. There have been so many ups and downs. I'm exhausted and I fully understand why this whole situation needs to be fixed. And so I'm hoping that some information that I share with you today will help you so that you don't end up as we have over these last couple of months because it has not been easy. So let's get right into it. But before we do, if you could spend like 30 seconds reviewing the show, I just realized that I haven't had a podcast review since January. It's September. Oh my goodness. Like happy September. And also could you please review my show because there has to be at least 3 of you, probably more, but let's, the goal is 3. There has to be 3 of you who have listened to the show for a little while, have some thoughts about what you like, what you don't like. If you could just spend a couple of seconds leaving a review for the show on your favorite podcast player, like wherever you're listening to this, jump on there and just give it a rating and say a couple things. That would be fabulous. It helps other people find the show. It keeps my ratings good and fresh. And I really, at this point, I am in the negative operating the show and I enjoy doing it. I know that it helps people. I'm told this all the time by you. So if you could just tell us that in the reviews, that would be so helpful. Okay, let's get into it. I actually recorded this episode already a couple of weeks ago. I sat down, I planned it all out. I shared like everything from front to back. And then some crazy stuff happened and Coconut regressed really terribly. And I learned even more. And I was like, I cannot even go out with this episode. So very last minute, I am doing this episode for like tomorrow to try to give you more details around how to care for your pets because I would like to think that I do the best by my dogs, but man, have I learned so much. And there are so many things I would do differently. In fact, I was thinking like when we were growing up, we had a dog. Her name was Sadie. She was a lab husky mix. And she got into a fight with a porcupine when she was probably like 4 years old. And by the time she was 7, she had cancerous tumors all over the area that she got into the fight with the porcupine, like needles all throughout. And we kept those needles and we never like fully did trauma work with her and like worked through stuff. And I often wonder, like, had we done that, would she have gotten cancer in her mouth? I don't think so. And with Lexi, there were a lot of things that we did right with Lexi. Like, we rescued Lexi. So she was a German Shepherd Border Collie cross. She was such a sweet dog. She was just so thankful to be part of a family. And if you've rescued dogs, you know that they're just like, I don't even care I just want to be part of it. Thank you for my food. Thank you for my bed, And I loved being able to give her that new lease on life. She was 4 when we adopted her, and she had just gotten into a fight with another dog who ended up killing all her babies. And so she was very territorial, super messed up in the head, which I can completely understand. And it was a lot of stress managing that dog because she hated other dogs. And a big mistake that we made with her was discounting the concerns around hip dysplasia in German Shepherds. And had I started her on things like collagen and CBD, I think she could have had a better outcome. But what I loved and why she lived so stinking long to 17 years old, yes, 17, was that she wasn't fixed until she was 4. And I think that really made a big difference. With Pebbles, she was our Pomeranian. At the time, I was like, grain-free dog food. Yeah. And we were doing grain-free kibble, and she got DCM. And when she was 11, she started dealing with multiple heart attacks a day. It was terrible. She would have these like heart episodes, and she'd make these terrible noises like, I can still hear it today. And we just have to hold her and like talk her through it. And she was on so many medications. And finally we just said, like, we can't, like, this is not, she's terrified every time she seizes up. She's fallen downstairs. Like, it's not working. And I definitely learned through Pebbles, hey, like grain-free food, it's not that grain-free food is bad. It's when you're doing grain-free kibble, they fill it with potatoes and corn and peas and lentils, and it's just not right for their hearts. And so Coconut, our Doberman, has never been on grain-free food. Maybe she was on it for like 3 months. And then I was like, whoa, okay, we are not going in that direction. Unfortunately, we did have to fix Coconut rather early in life because we were traveling a whole bunch and we could not find a place to take her. And so she was spayed, I think around 9 months, if I remember. We didn't do as many vaccines with Coconut as we had with our other dogs because we definitely saw that dogs have a strong immune response to vaccines. And so we kept it to the bare minimum. But traveling as much as we were traveling, like on a boat with 3 dogs. Yes. Yeah. If you missed that, we definitely did that. That was crazy. Never again, 3 dogs on a boat. Oh my goodness. What were we thinking? But we did have things like coronavirus vaccine before COVID was a thing. Dogs had a vaccine for it. And so we definitely, looking back, there were a lot of things that I would do differently with Coconut, like spay her later. At this point, I am not doing vaccines on dogs, period, moving forward. And I'll get into why and the decisions that I'm making around that. And like, to each their own, like, totally cool. And if this makes you angry, I don't mean for it to. I'm just literally sharing my experience so you can make decisions, because the decisions that you make, I really don't care what decision you make. But what I care about is you having proper information in order to make the decision. And even with proper information, I made a mistake with my dog, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. And so with Coconut, she has always been such a good girl. She's had great health, great everything. She's like, her oral health is incredible. Vets always comment on how perfect she is. And everything was great. In fact, during my where did I go? I want to say Panama Canal. That is not it. Patagonia. My Patagonia training started in December of 2024, and she did most of it with me. We increased our walking 10% week over week. She did bridges with me. She did long walks with me. Like, that girl, she hustled. She carried her own water. She was such a trooper. Like, she was great. And I went to Patagonia for a month. I came back. She was still great. She was good for another month and a half, almost 2 months. And I was at my sister's bachelorette party. I was a couple hours away, and Kevin called me and said, Coconut's doing something really strange. She's yelping. I'm like, yelping? Like, what'd you guys do? He's like, I took her to the dog park. We came home and she's yelping like constantly. Like, she goes outside, she yelps, she walks, she yelps. She's just yelping. And I said, well, we should probably call a vet. And so I called our vet and I just said, hey, my dog is showing signs of pain. Every time I touch her nose, she's she's yelping. I think it's some sort of compression issue. I want to talk with you over the phone and really get clear on what the plan is going to be, because I'm concerned that there's a severe acute injury and I don't want to take her in to see you if we don't have a plan of attack. I don't want her to be touched intensely. I don't want to be waiting for a long time. I don't want I just want it to be very controlled. What's the plan of attack? And the vet was like, okay, well, first, we're not going to muzzle her. We're going to do acupuncture. We're going to do some testing. I'm like, cool. So because I was with my sister at her bachelorette, I couldn't be there. I couldn't be present for the appointment. So Kevin brought her in. What they do, they muzzled her twice as she's yelping in pain because they're pushing on what we now know was her injury, further injuring her to the point where Kevin was like, we are done. You are not listening. We are leaving. We called ahead of time and made sure that everything was good. And you're not doing what we said that you agreed to do. So that was April 30th. And the vet's recommendation was put her on 30 milligrams of prednisone and stick her in a crate for a month. And we're like, that is dumb. And we proceeded to meet with multiple vets. I can't even tell you, probably 6. And all of them are saying she has wobblers, which is something that Dobermans can get for sure, but it's not an acute thing. It doesn't just happen one day to the extent that she was showing it, where when I touch her nose, it's painful. How is that wobblers? And her hind legs all of a sudden within moments showed weakness, extremely weakness. That's not wobblers. And so they were saying, my training caused this. I never should have walked her that much. And I'm like, it's an acute injury. So we found a rehab facility that was about an hour and a half drive from us. And we went there one time. They did an assessment and they said, look, it's either wobblers or it's a herniated disc. So you could put her on prednisone and kind of see how she does and do these exercises and see if it gets better. And if it gets better, then awesome. If it doesn't, then you should probably do imaging. But here's a referral to a neurologist. So we thought about it a little bit. We were doing the exercises. Nothing was really landing. She just wasn't getting better. And it had been about a week and a half since the injury at that point. And I thought, if this is an acute situation and we're not giving her proper care, this is a problem. And so we met with the neurologist, and the neurologist saw her and was like, I think this is a neck issue. Here's what I suggest. The MRI is going to be $6,000. Yeah. So I would suggest doing that, or we can do a round of prednisone and see how she does. And for those of you who don't know prednisone, as a human, I absolutely avoid it at all costs. It causes some pretty severe symptoms long-term. Now, a short bout of it to just control inflammation, I'm all for. But if you don't know what's causing the inflammation, I'm always just a little bit concerned to go on it without having answers. And so I talked to the rehab facility and I was like, this is what they're saying. I don't have $6,000 to spend on a test for my dog. What should we do? And so they gave us a Wobblers protocol for rehabbing Coconut. And we followed that until June 25th. And on June 25th, Coconut was just worse. It was worse. Nothing I was doing was helping. I had changed so much. I'd done so much. I was so frustrated. I was so tired. And I had just received a payment from an affiliate program an affiliate product that I promote. I've talked about it here in the past, the peptides, and it was $6,000. And I was like, okay, I'm using this check to pay for my dog's MRI. And you might think that that's totally crazy. I understand, but she was in so much pain and I was beside myself. I needed to do something. And Kevin and I talked about it and we were like, it wasn't even a question at that point because we were getting nowhere and I wasn't about to put her on pred without knowing what was going on. And it didn't seem like, because I wanted to do holistic therapies, I can't treat something that I don't know what I'm treating. Like if it's wobblers, then it's going to be a very different protocol than if it's a herniated disc, or it's going to be different if it's hip dysplasia. Like everything is going to be a little bit different. And so at that point, I was like, I'm getting nowhere because I'm treating wobblers and the wobblers is not getting better. And so I've said from the beginning that I think it's an acute injury. And so let's just test and see. So Kevin brought her, thank goodness, because I had to work. I was in back-to-back clients that day. And so Kevin took her to the neurologist. They did the MRI and the neurologist called me and said, yep, it's a herniated disc at C5. And that's all the neurologist said. I am so thankful I read the rest of the report because the neurologist said, we'll put her on prednisone, we'll get her stable, and then I really think she needs the surgery. And I was like, okay, well, no, I didn't say this to the neurologist, but I'm not okay with doing a herniated disc surgery on a human. I'm probably going to hate it even more for a dog. So after reading the MRI report, C2, C3, C4, C6, C7, they're all not great. So what's to say that, okay, so we do the herniated disc surgery, which is very invasive. Like it is wild what they do. You're going to cut into her neck, push her thyroid aside, kind of move everything aside and take a hook and just pull no, absolutely not. No, ma'am. And when I was asking her, like, how did we get here? How do we improve it? And she's like, the body knows how to heal. So you just let her rest and it'll just heal. But then why do we need the surgery if the body knows how to heal? And like, how did this happen in the beginning? Like how, like, sorry, what? Did you know that around 90% of your body's energy is produced by the mitochondria, these tiny engines inside of every cell? But as we age, mitochondrial function declines, energy drops, and muscle strength fades. Even skin resilience takes a hit. That's where Timeline Nutrition comes in. They've developed MitoPure, a highly pure, patented form of urolithin A, a postbiotic nutrient that activates a process called mitophagy. This is your body's natural way of recycling damaged mitochondria, renewing cellular energy from the inside out. Clinical trials show that MitoPure can increase muscle strength, boost cellular energy, and support skin health, all by targeting the root of aging, your cells. Now, for the first time ever, you can try Timeline with an exclusive 20% off your first order. Go to timeline.com/KDP and use the code KDP at checkout. That's timeline.com/KDP for 20% off your first order. And so at least at that point, June 25th, we knew, okay, this is a herniated disc. And so we had been working with a chiropractor for dogs, which took me forever to find. Sabrina Ragsdale, if you're local to Florida, she's incredible at C Chiropractic. And she had been adjusting coconut, not in the neck, and thank goodness, because you shouldn't really adjust a herniated disc, but a lot of muscle work, a lot of fascial work, and more adjustments like in the hip area and the T's and the L's of the spine. And so that's the thoracic and the lumbar. And then C is up at the top. And so, yeah, we continued with the chiropractic. We actually chose to put coconut on a small round of prednisone at 25% the amount that the original doctor had suggested. So we did that and she was great. Like within a week and a half, it was like night and day difference. And it gave me enough time to create a gap in her care that I could, like, even with people, sometimes we need medications to create some sort of lull that we can bring in holistic therapies that will start working because we calm the body down. Like, this happens all the time. Like, when the body is just in full on chaos mode, not like turmeric is not going to hit the mark, right? So the neurologist had also recommended something that's very common in dogs with pain, which is gabapentin. I did not feel comfortable with that, so I never gave it to her. And instead, we did Robaxin, which is a muscle relaxant. And I had a vet call that in, and that was way, 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 way better. And so I guess you could call this, like, she was never given this diagnosis, but through my research, she has IVDD stage 2 or like level 2. So she has a little bit of hind leg like weakness and an injury in her neck. And so that makes a lot of sense. Like, she jumped out of my vehicle, in or out of the vehicle when she was going to the dog park or coming home, and she herniated a disc. Like, ouch. Yeah, that hurts mega big time. And we were doing so well. The initial protocol, I actually wrote it down because I didn't want to mess it up. The initial protocol, we had her doing some omega-3s, turmeric, CBD, the bioactive collagen peptides. I have all her supplements here. So if you hear crinkles, that's why. Fortigel. We've had her on gut support for pets from Ion for quite some time, and that just helps to detox pesticides. And that's all I kind of had her on initially. Oh, yes. And Cosequin. Now, Cosequin is a mixture of glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate, MSM. If I could do this again, like when this bottle runs out, I'm going to replace it with elk antler, which is something that I had our German Shepherd Border Collie on. And I wish I would have started it sooner. And I just, if I could go back, I would have just started Coconut on these when she was 1. Like, we know that breeds like this are going to have joint issues. So why wait until they have joint issues? Like, just get started sooner. And the elk antler did really, really help Lexi, as did the CBD. And in fact, Coconut has been on CBD since she was really little. I've always given her 1 to 2 drops daily, just as like a nice dose, as somebody who is on it myself and loves it so much. It helps with her anxieties and a lot of her inflammation, and just to get her used to a supplement like that. And so that's all I was really doing is the Cosequin. This was the initial round. I'm just going through all of it. The Cosequin, curcumin absorb. We had the Ion gut support for pets, the Sparkle Wellness joint boost. That's the collagen that I was using. I was also doing a little bit of omega-3s. I've since increased that, and I'll explain why. Then the CBD, like I said, a little bit of hyaluronic acid, and whole food vitamin C from Paleo Valley. So that's what I was doing while she was on the prednisone and starting to stabilize her to help build up her joints. And everything was going great. She got off the prednisone. It had been a week off the prednisone. She was back to being happy, like being a normal dog. Like, we were like, yes, okay. She was on the pred for 3 weeks. We got her off of it. We're stable. We can start doing more exercises and like really getting her in a good place. Because I had fired so many vets through this process, because I was fighting with them on this whole diagnosis of like, can you please just refer us or tell us what we do from here? Because this is not working. I'm telling you that this is not a wobbler. Like, she might have wobblers, but she has wobblers with an acute something. Like, it doesn't just happen like this. And so because I had fired so many vets and we'd gone to so many appointments trying to find answers and find somebody to listen, we went to a new vet. And I had taken Mango there initially, and I liked the vet. I mean, he wasn't a great listener, but I knew that I needed somebody in case of an emergency, to like have a vet. And so I go there with Coconut, and she jumps out of the car. She's so excited. She's like, "This is the best." And I brought her in the little car. So it's not a big jump. It's just like more of a step. But what I'm saying is she was like excited. She got to the door and she's like, "Yeah, this is the best." And she's just back to her normal self. And she saw the vet and she was normal. And then the vet was talking to me, and I was not prepared for the manipulation that I was about to experience, because I was very clear about my stance on vaccines. Coconut has responded really poorly to vaccines in the past. Benadryl makes her feel loopy. So we've said, like, unless you're doing a teeter test, like, I'm not comfortable giving her a vaccine. And it was a special sort of manipulation that this doctor put me under. Like, I've never experienced this. I am a practitioner. I know better. I'm fully equipped. And yet still, We walked out with the DHPP vaccine in her body. I kind of blacked out. I don't even know like what happened. I look back and I'm like, what was I even thinking? And like I was thinking, I was arguing with him. I was saying like she just got off prednisone. DHPP vaccine, literally for viruses that attack the nervous system. Like neurologically, it makes no sense because it's an active virus that can affect the immune system. Her immune system is suppressed. She just got finished prednisone. I don't think that this is a good idea. And yet still the words he was using and truly the manipulation that I was hit with, I was not prepared for. And I know that parents have experienced this. I know that we have sat in doctor's appointments and not been prepared for what they're about to, dish out. And we say, sure, yeah, right, that makes sense. What? I'm stupid. Like, why would I think that? And then we leave and we're like, wait, I'm not stupid. I know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, that doctor totally manipulated me. That's what happened. That is what happened. Over a $30 vaccine. Like, and so I don't know if it's about the money. I think it's just like, I don't know. I've had so many conversations with people at this point, and I wasn't going to share how angry I was. And I thought about it for like a couple days, and I made a recording for Instagram and I just saved it and I thought about it, prayed about it. And I was like, absolutely not. No, I'm angry. It's going out there. Like it's going out there because I should have never been manipulated into saying yes. That is ridiculous. What? No. So yeah, she got into the car. She got home. She was a little bit sleepy, which happens on vaccines, blah, blah, blah. And before bed, like we have our bed on the floor. We've had our bed on the floor, our couch dropped down. Like all the furniture in our home is like basically on the floor for her injury. Like I'm sitting on the bed recording this around my dogs, and it's on the floor. The mattress is on the floor. And so she's crawling up into bed at night and she tripped over the mattress, which is literally on the floor, and kind of like fell into bed and then had a hard time. Like she didn't want to pick herself up. And I was like, oh, she's probably just tired. The next morning, she could not get out of bed. Like she just sat there looking at me like not right. She was not right. And so I let her just chill out. Like, that's fine. You just stay there. I got her little PEMF necklace that we've been using to help with pain. And I put her around her neck and I did all her little stretches that I've been doing that the chiropractor taught me to do. And I walked our other dog, Mango, and came back and she was still not good. And so I was like, oh, is it okay? So this is probably inflammation that's caused issues with her injury. And at this point, I wasn't thinking like, we're back to where we started. I'm like, no problem. Tomorrow she'll be better. And then the next day she wasn't better. She was actually worse. And then the next day she wasn't better. She was actually worse, to the point where you bet I called the vet. And I was like, yo, what the heck? Why did you even recommend this? I did a whole bunch of research after I left, and you're never supposed to give a vaccine to a dog after they've just been off prednisone. And did you know that it's a live virus and all this stuff? And I have a voicemail on my phone of the doctor literally doubling down and saying that the experience that I'm having is not happening. Okay, so like my dog is not walking literally for no reason. Like what? She was fine. She was stable. She was good. The chiropractor said movement is awesome. Like she was back to being fine. And within not even 24 hours of the DHPP vaccine, she had regret. Like she was further gone than her April injury. And so what are you supposed to do? I had a trip that I needed to go on. I couldn't shift it around. Our house sitter was like fully on board with everything. I decided to put her back on a small round of prednisone while I was gone. And of course, as I'm in the air flying in an airplane, our house sitter's like, hey, Coconut's yelped twice since I got here. Like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, my heart dropped. I was headed out to Denver to pick up a van that I had built. I'm not sure if I shared with you guys yet. I built a van. We bought a Mercedes 144 Sprinter and then hired a company called GeoTrack to like build it out for us. And they did such a great job. And it was the only day that I could go and pick it up. And Denver is very far away from West Palm Beach. This is where I was taking the van. And so when the house sitter said, like, coconut's not good, and we had just started her back on prednisone, and dogs on prednisone, at least for coconut anyways, she was so out of it, like on it. And I think detoxing the vaccine and everything was just not good. And so I realized in that moment, like, I am beyond my capacity. I have a great chiropractor. I have a terrible vet. I have a rehab facility that's too far away. I need more people in my corner. Like, when you're going through a health crisis as a human, you need people in your corner that can bring you fresh ideas, manage certain things, give you new thoughts, like just coordinate stuff. And I could not do this alone. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was now like 1,900 miles away. And so I picked up my van that morning and I started driving. I have never driven so much so quickly in my entire life. I left Thursday morning and I got to Florida Saturday at 10 a.m. I am still recovering from that drive. I was a different person. It changed me. There is nothing like being that far away from home when there's a problem, knowing that you cannot go any quicker than you're going, and like the physical demands. And I'm really proud of myself because I could have just driven nonstop and been a total wreck, but I took breaks, stretch breaks, walk breaks. I went to the gym. I tried to eat well because I knew when I got home, it was going to be like all hands on deck. Thank God, the night that I was sitting in Denver waiting to pick up my van, I reached out to a local holistic vet and we just chatted over email like late into the night. And he's like, yep, I can help you. Let's have a call tomorrow. So I actually talked to him while I was driving and we came up with a vaccine detoxification plan. And it's interesting going through the vaccine detoxification plan. I'm like, yeah, this is like how I create a human plan, but I really needed somebody outside of myself to just tell me what I needed to do. So in addition to the Cosequin, which I would change to elk antler powder, the vitamin C complex, hyaluronic acid, CBD oil, curcuma Zorb from Pure Encapsulations, the omega-3s, which I quadrupled, sextupled, like she was taking one capsule a day. Now we're at 6, whatever that is. The joint boost collagen and the gut support. We also added additional components specifically to detoxify the vaccine. But before we could detoxify, and I had mentioned this to him, we also needed to stabilize the immune system naturally because she was back on the prednisone, which now she's just about out of, thank goodness. And we will hopefully never have to go back on it. She was on the prednisone, but we wanted to get her immune system to a point where it wasn't so reactive. And so I added quercetin for this. Now, this is not something that I would constantly give a dog, but it's good for like a month. I also added a mushroom medley that had a combination of chaga, cordyceps, maitake, reishi, turkey tail. You want to make sure that any mushrooms that you're giving humans or dogs are hot water extracted. Super important. And what else did I do for stabilization of the immune? I think that's like all. And so this holistic vet, his name's Matt Parker. He works out of Jupiter, if you're curious. He does consultations all over. So if you're just looking for a second opinion, he was a great resource. Like the amount of money that I've spent on useless vets that gave absolutely no help and we haven't even gotten to the vet who told me that she had hip dysplasia. We'll get there. But he was like actually helpful. And so our plan was to stabilize the immune system and then get into vaccine detoxification. So for vaccine detoxification, we're doing Adored Beast. They make a product called Rebalancer, and coconut is on that. We're doing Virad Chem Binder from Cellcore. We're doing Can Essentials, Buplurium, and Kudzu Clearing Formula. BCATP from Cellcore, Can Essentials, Settle the Yang, and then some nutrients to just help with overall balance, the Ligoplex, and niacinamide from Standard Process. Also, we got her started on a probiotic formula because the goal here, once she's super stabilized, and we'll start this probably when this episode goes live, we will be starting the process of moving her over to a different food that's very anti-inflammatory. Now, I switched coconut from Open Farm over to Farmina. and I'm really happy with the switch. Her immune system has been really good on this, but I think we need to go a step further based on Matt Parker's assessment. Now, I'm not fully sold on the idea of raw food for dogs overall, but I'm open to a conversation on it. So as soon as she's in a better place, we're going to try to play around with her food a little bit more and stabilize her that way. So that's kind of what we're doing from a supplement standpoint. Now, I'll include everything that I can include for the supplements. I'll probably just include a full script link. And if you need any of these resources, just reach out to me and I can send them to you. And also Cellcore. If you go to Cellcore, you'll need a practitioner code in order to order from Cellcore. So I'm just going to pull that up so that you can use it. So my practitioner code on cellcore.com is W0YZS74D as in Delta. Yeah. So if you use that, I stinking love their binders. And with BCATP for coconut, when I gave her one capsule, she had a very strong detox reaction. So I know we're on the right path. It's just going to take us a little while to get there. And so she's been doing this protocol now for 2 weeks. She's super stable, but I knew that there was another gap in the whole process, and that was a proper rehab facility that I could actually take her to. We had only physically been to the place in Vero Beach once. It's just, I can't drive an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back twice a week. It's just not possible because I'm spending all this money on my dog. I need to also be working so that I can spend the money on my dog. What makes bioactive peptides so different from the supplements that are out there today or from a collagen peptide? It's not just that they work, it's how they're made. So here's the cool part. Make Wellness, my very favorite bioactive precision peptide, uses an AI-powered discovery model to identify the most effective bioactive peptides from plants. So it starts with natural proteins like fava bean, for example, chosen for their rich amino acid profile. And these proteins are then broken down using natural enzymes, mimicking the way that your body would digest them. This process creates thousands of tiny little peptide fragments, which are basically short chains of amino acids with potential benefits. Here's where the magic happens. So instead of testing each one manually, artificial intelligence steps in. The AI scans through all of these peptides to predict which sequences will have the most impact, like improving muscle protein synthesis, reducing inflammation, or helping with recovery. It's like training a search engine to find just the peptides that your cells know how to respond to. So when you take these supplements, you're not just getting protein or plant extracts, you're getting highly targeted peptide messengers, specific sequences that tell your body to build muscle, preserve strength, reduce inflammation, improve energy metabolism, recover faster after stress or exertion. And all of this, my friend, comes with body recomposition changes, hair growth, skin changes, nail changes, all the things that we look for. But we're changing the way that our cells are communicating. So these signals are acting like natural instructions, guiding your cells to perform the tasks that support strength, longevity, resilience, and more. You can find out more by going to healthfulpursuit.com/make or check out the show notes for the link. Again, that's healthfulpursuit.com/make. So we needed to find a rehab facility. So, yeah, that's been a process. We've been to a couple. The second last one that we went to was Healing Arts. I would not recommend this place, like, at all. They made us wait for our appointment for 40 minutes, which I'm just never okay with. Like, if you're making me sign a form that I need to respect your time and show up on time, then you respect mine and show up on time. And don't go with like, oh, it's so hard to manage a practice. I have a practice and I never make my clients wait. Like, maybe one time it's been like 5 minutes, maybe one time in the last 17 years. Seriously. Like, I try to be on time, or at least usually I'm like 15 minutes ahead of schedule. And I'm like, hey, are you there? Like, I'm here. Let's go. Like, because I think it's really important. I would rather me be waiting on my clients and my clients ever be waiting on me, because they're paying you for a service. They're like, in need. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so we're sitting there, we're waiting, and just little things like not having grippy mats for the dog's feet. If you say that you're a rehab facility and they're like, you have slippy floors where dogs with issues with their limbs can't like walk on, that doesn't make any sense. And then also when we get into the office, if there's a table that can be, those vet tables that go up and down, if there's a table that can go up and down and you have a dog in a room that has a neck injury and the table is right at her face, and when she goes to lay down under the table and she gets up, she's going to hit her head, you think maybe you would increase it? I know I sound a little bit spicy, but like, this is not free service. Like, you're paying for a service and you want it a certain way, and I don't understand why it can't be easier. And so the vet comes in and it's just so frustrating. Trying to pull Coconut by the neck to get her to come over. I'm like, absolutely not. Stop touching my dog. Just tell me what you like. At this point, both Kevin and I are like, this is not going to happen. And then he goes, because she has hind leg weakness, I don't think what you're dealing with is a neck injury anymore. I think this is hip dysplasia. And at that point, I was like, we done. Can I collect my $60 back? Because I feel like this was no, absolutely not. I think too, like when you're looking for a doctor for yourself, for your family, for your dog, for your cat, for your mouse, I don't care. The wrong care can often be worse than no care at all. And we left there. We couldn't leave there quick enough. I have no idea how they have good reviews, truly. And so thankfully I had booked another appointment that week with another place to just get an assessment. And let me tell you, night and day difference. It's still a 30-minute drive, which I don't even care at this point. It's going to be what it is. But we get in there, they listen, they give us time to explain things. They are just wanting to help. And just present. And the doctor comes in and she was like, wow, like for this sort of injury, Coconut's presenting so well. Like you've done so much work for her because of this, that, and that. I can tell you're doing this and this right and that right. We told her about the vaccine and she was like, that makes sense. And finally, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Yes, it does make sense, doesn't it? Like when you just align with a practitioner, my whole body, like I slept so good that night because my whole body was just so relaxed in speaking with her, and Coconut was very responsive to her. And so, yeah, we committed to therapy with her. And what I loved about it is that she wasn't like, yeah, we're going to start like hit it hard from all angles. She's like, okay, since she just had another regression from the vaccine on July 31st, we're actually going to start small and do acupuncture and laser for the first 2.5 weeks, see how she does, and then switch over to rehab. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I would do. Yes, absolutely agreed. I literally cried setting up the appointments in the front desk because I'm like, you have no idea how hard it's been. Like, it should not be this hard. It should not be this hard. And so, oh man, what a process. What an expensive, ridiculous process that didn't need to be that way. And yeah, financially, like the worst time for everything to happen because we had already committed to the van. And there's a whole plan with that, which I'll share at another time. But I'm very hopeful that I now have the right people. Like we have Matt, who's doing our holistic vet care. We have Sabrina doing her chiropractic, and then Delray West doing her rehab. And I feel really good about this dynamic. I feel very good about acupuncture. I know that she's going to respond really, really well to it and just have a new lease on life, because her quality of life, I mean, she's a dog who grew up on a boat that loved adventure. She's 8. There's no reason for all this to be happening. And so we need to get her to a more stable place. And I'm excited to see what I learned about this new phase. But yeah, vaccine detox, no joke with a dog. She's handled it so well. Now, I listed off a whole bunch of supplements and you're like, Leanne, how do you even give your dog all of these pills and everything? Many of them I open, and many of them are like tablets that are very much like food. And we have always soaked Coconut's food in coconut water or distilled water or broth. And so it's like mushy anyway. So I just like add it all in and have at her. And she's never had a problem with it. Like she just goes at it. So I'm sure I'll have more to add as I'm directed through our holistic vet on how to switch up her diet. I'm not totally absolutely sold on the idea. I think probably where we'll land is somewhere in the like home cooked realm. Maybe. I'm reading some things about kibble overall being very drying to the joints, but we've been hydrating it. And so I need to understand this more, and I don't quite yet. But I think a big piece to all of this is like, I wish that I would have started on joint support earlier for a dog who we know would have, like the breed would have joint issues. So elk antler, vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, omegas, I wish I would have started those sooner. The joint boost collagen, I wish I would have done that sooner. And when we had introduced raw for her a couple of years ago, she had a lot of digestive issues. I wish I would have thought of it like a human and being like, okay, this is probably a sign of upper GI issues, and we should probably get ahead of that, because if she's having upper GI issues now, she's probably not absorbing her food well, which is going to lead to health issues down the road, just like humans. So I think a big thing that I've learned throughout all this is like, I already have the tools, the things that I learn about humans, the things I do with humans for my job totally applies to animals too. And I like that our holistic vet encourages me in that. He's like, you know this, like you do this. And so it's good to align yourself with people that just your nervous system settles into it, because not only if it's treating your body, that's great, but if it's treating your animals, like I could tell that Coconut knew that everything was okay because I was okay in our session with our new rehab facility. And so I'm excited to see these laser and acupuncture treatments start to shift things, and then what rehab looks like. And I'll share, if you would like me to, of this whole process. But oh my goodness, has it just been an absolute process. And had I not like sat down and read the whole MRI report, I probably would have leaned more towards surgery. But when I read it and just saw like the whole spine as well, from C7 up is like this. And so you really got to read everything. You got to do your due diligence, because a lot of things will be missed, and you might not be making the right decisions based on information that's right in front of you, but you just haven't read it because you sit down with a doctor, they say everything's fine, and then you don't bother to look at it, because why would you? Because you hired somebody to do a job and they don't do it like super awesome well. So that's where we're at with that. All of you wanted to hear an update and kind of like have everything in one place. So I hope this was helpful. If you need links to anything, they should be in the show notes. But if you're stuck on anything, feel free to send me a message. And if you like today's episode or past episodes, please, if you could just take a couple minutes to leave a review, that would just really help this girl out. Okay. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll chat next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit Podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.